It's indeed a pleasure to have such an esteemed panel with me today. One of the panelists, unfortunately, Mr. Bali couldn't make it, but we have Bharat, who's the President ITU-APT Foundation. We have Mr. Mohan Raju, who's the VP and Vertical Head IoT at Reliance Geo Platforms. We have Mr. Anurag Jain, who's the AVP and Head Data Center Engineering and R&D. And then we have Mr. Manmeet Singh, who's the Senior Director with Strategy Analysis and New Business Development at Qualcomm. A very warm welcome to all of you once again. And the topic is quite interesting because AI is now all pervasive, and going forward it's only going to increase its influence in our life. And it's a very apt forum that communications being the backbone of any smart city program. We are discussing how communications or telecom can be enhanced further by use of AI, and how AI can help make an impact further onto how we look at telecommunication services, and how ultimately those communication services will impact not only smart cities but our everyday life and living. I would like to start with Bharat. So Bharat, you have been a part of ITU, and you have been working a lot on 4G to 5G transition, 5G to 6G transition. And now somewhere, obviously artificial intelligence in some form and shape has always been there. But how do you see the now with these large language models and tools like ChatGPT and so on and so forth are contributing to further evolution of the telecom sector? Now, when I say sector, I say probably we in India, should be India. And how do you draw parallels from how the global telcos are responding to things like this?
Thank you, Rahul. And thanks to Convergence India and the team for very well organized conference. I'm really pleased to be here to share my thoughts on this very, very important topic. If I were to start this conversation, India, as you know, is a mobile country. We are today about 1.2 billion mobile users, and more than 1.1 billion smartphone users. And that really brings the power of the internet, the power of all these new technologies in the hands of common man. We started off a little late in the world in this area. Our 2G launch in the mid-90s was delayed from the rest of the world by about 6-7 years. But we caught up very fast, and we were one of the first countries to reach a very large number of 2G subscribers. And I think the right thing India did was to skip the 3G era and join straight into the 4G. And today, I think we are one of the largest 4G subscriber base in the country. And when we talk about 4G, it means that you have the power of internet in your hands, the power of data in your hands. Again, on the area of 5G, I think we were delayed a little bit, maybe because of the COVID and some other reasons. But today, we are the fastest growing 5G launch in the world. Nobody else in the world could roll out so many 5G connections in the short period of 1 year or so, around 150 million 5G subscribers in the country. And that led us to get the power of internet, the power of mobile communication in the hands of almost everybody in the country. Which means sitting here, I can do my banking transactions, combine it with the UPI. Everybody is today able to make payments sitting in your, wherever you are flying, or in another country, anywhere in the world. you're able to harness the power of internet, the power of mobile communication, the power of data communications. And now we are integrating these with the artificial intelligence technologies. The role of AI in both areas, I look at it one from a telecom operator's perspective. Operators are going to have a major role of the AI, where the network optimization, where the large amount of data could be managed through the use of AI. And on the user side, lot of new applications you would see using the AI, power of next generation mobile technology. India, already the Honorable Prime Minister has announced a huge program to launch 6G by 2030. And that 6G combined with the power of AI is really going to drive India to the top of the world. In economy, in development, in fisheries, in agriculture, in health sector, any sector that you can think of, AI driven by the power of mobile communication is going to be one of the major drivers of the economy. Very clearly, the usage scenarios that we see, and I'm part of the ITU, where we recently approved the framework for the 6G communications. In ITU, we call the IMT 2030. IMT 2030, known as 6G around the world, has a specific usage scenario of artificial intelligence. One, to drive the usage requirements. Second, to use it for network optimization. The lot of new areas that are being talked about, Industry 4.0, for example. That requirement plus lot of other requirements will be driven by the combination of mobiles and 6G together. And those are the areas that will really be very, very beneficial to the economy. So maybe with this starting words, I'll have some more information later.
And definitely, sir, you put it very wisely. In fact, what you said was sectoral development and enhancement and enablement. And this is something that across sectors would ultimately be a game changer if it is used wisely and the insights that come out of it are ultimately implemented on the ground. So I'll move to Mohan now. So Mohan, your perspective, everybody thinks of, AI being used on the front end where you deal with customers. And, when you talk about chatbots, it's a very limited or a narrow understanding of what we carry as an AI, because it's the first thing that you're replacing a human interaction with a chatbot, and then you try and go it further from there. But from your perspective, because the larger perspective in terms of how you're looking at the overall connected world and the connected experiences that telcos like yourself will ultimately look at offering customers, because as Mr. Bharat said, we all have the power of mobile internet in our hand. But then that's one part of the connected experience. How do you enhance the connected experience further to expand to other aspects of our life?
Thank you, Rahul. So I'll just take it forward. I think Bharatji set a right context to this whole panel. Now, of course, we all have been, hearing, experiencing AI in some form of the other, ChatGPT and so on, for the last 1 year. But yes, this powerful technology has come in the right shape at the right time. It couldn't have been a better timing for us. The basic version, as Rahul highlighted, this is the very first version, which is the generative chat capability or generative AI capability. Itself brings tremendous potential to accelerate many technologies that we have been working on for quite some time. Now, how does this happen? Obviously, AI fundamentally has the capability to process humongous amounts of data and bring meaningful insights in a very, very fractional time, right? So that's the speed for doing such a complex task. That's what AI is facilitating today. Now, as we all are getting connected, so many mobiles, not just mobiles, but many other things are getting connected as Internet of Things. Our cars are getting connected, our homes are getting connected, our industries are getting connected. As Bharatji mentioned, fisheries, agris, everything is getting connected, right? Now each of this segment is collecting lot of data about ourselves. So our data point is there with many ecosystems which can be leveraged in many different ways and means. But how do we do this? It's a complex task. Our home data, our car data, our mobile phone data, our office data, who will integrate all this? That's the first step. So AI helps to integrate all this together. That's one. Second, the data point has to be applied to bring some meaningful value to us as consumers or citizens. What does all this mean? For example, we all would love while we are reaching our house, anyway we have the mobile phone in the hand. Today we use geofence and many other technologies which tell you a precise position right up to 10 meters. Now as you walk closer to your door, if your house door gets unlocked by itself, wouldn't that be a delight to all of us, right? So these are some small use cases which will be facilitated through the adoption of AI. While this happens, a larger ecosystem will get accelerated where all these various facets of life where our data points sit can be combined. We might call it as data exchanges. Post the ChatGPT last year November, we've been increasingly hearing about data exchanges, and very interestingly I came across a forum of India's own data exchange some 3 months back. So what happens to this? Because of enablement by AI, your data point, today data points belong to us, it doesn't belong to anybody. Even if your car manufacturer taps your data point, that belongs to you, it doesn't belong to him. Our data point has to be put on a democratic platform, right? And that point can be leveraged by anybody that wants to deliver value to you. Now this is in a nutshell, Rahul, how AI is being adopted, the initial level of AI. I'd be happy to explain other use cases as we go along the panel, but this is the fundamental power of AI that has come to us now, and this will only accelerate the hyper connected world that we live in, not just the mobile phone but many other aspects, right? So that's a opening note on how AI and connected world will intersect and accelerate, Rahul.
Yeah, very wisely put. And before Anurag, I come to you because Mohan mentioned car and connected auto so many times. I need to go to Manmeet first, and all of us who've walked here in this pavilion, see all the major car manufacturers here, and ultimately that brings to the question that from an auto perspective, and given your experience in auto and the fact that you're looking at connected experience, one of the first things about connected experience other than the handheld device is your car. Typically that's where AI is making those inroads. Now how do you envision AI-driven technologies influencing the future of the auto industry? We're already seeing some traction there, but your experience and also the future roadmap would be a great addition to the audience.
Thanks, Rahul. So I think if you talk about auto industry, I think auto industry is definitely leading the use of AI. And especially on the edge part of AI, because you cannot have decisions taken in the cloud when it comes to cars. Now, if you see how autos of future are getting built, there's a digital chassis and then there are battery packs. So this is what basically the vehicle is of future. And in digital, if we divide, there are 3 parts to that. There's a connectivity, which we call telematics, which connects to their networks, and then there's the infotainment, and then the third one is ADAS and autonomy, autonomous driving. So if we go to telematics or connected, very interesting use cases, very interesting use cases which are coming up specifically related to AI. One is a common one which you will see, or you might have already seen some of that, is predictive maintenance. So, based on your condition, sensors reporting the issues from the vehicle, you can predict when the maintenance and which parts are needed, when that maintenance is needed. So that's pretty much a use case which we will see very common in next, few years. But there is something very interesting developing, and that's called personalized insurance services. So what happens is that driver behavior, how you drive the vehicle, the AI algorithms can give you a very detailed reports on your behavior of the driving, and then these reports can be also shared with the insurance companies. And insurance companies are going to basically very specifically curtail the insurance packages towards a single person and their habits and their style of driving. So these are the use cases which are developing on the telematics side. Infotainment, as the natural language processing algorithms develop further, you will see that voice-based communication or voice-based control of the infotainment, gesture-based control will increase a lot because the quality is improving. And when we talk about ADAS and autonomy, there is the major use of AI. If you see, there is a narrow AI which is already there. We can see in adaptive cruise controls where you brake when the car brakes and you accelerate when the car in front of you accelerate. You have lane keep assist where you maintain your lanes and the car keeps, when the lane turns, the car turns. And even on your blind spot monitoring and driver behavior monitoring, all those things are already there. But what is coming is the autonomous driving. And there the AI is now with this generative AI coming into picture, there is this whole models, the massive models can be trained and then can be ported with the processor power in the car now with neural processors and all. They can be ported there. And now what we are going towards is something called as common sense autonomous driving. Now what that means is, as of now, if you see a car takes a decision based on cameras, and other sensors like LiDAR or radar, but these days if you're driving a car, and even an autonomous car, and the front car brakes because of red light, the car behind will brake. But in a human common sense, when human is driving, you can take a lot of factors into picture, whether there is a pedestrian, whether the lanes on the right side, are they empty, and you probably will like to overtake that car and park in parallel in front of red light. So these kind of decisions now can be possible in autonomous driving with generative AI models getting trained, which can take a decision making as close as a human will predict the whole situation and take that decision. That's what is happening in auto.
That's quite informative, and I think, as you rightly said, that one is the infotainment, the gesture control, and obviously possible because of the models getting better and better, and the devices getting better at the edge level. And I think that's pays for a lot more connected experiences going forward. And now, coming to experiences these product, and that's Anurag. I kept this question for the last for you. Typically, that's you come from that background of product engineering typically. So in terms of products, ultimately, how do you leverage AI to design and develop better products? Because ultimately, products are the center of everything, and ultimately, well, how their market is a different thing, but fundamentally, how do you design better products, and how could you optimize the entire product cycle, faster life cycle, so on and so forth?
Okay, thank you, Rahul. First of all, I'm honored to be part of this platform and sitting in front of distinguished gathering here. In the morning, I don't know, many of you, if some of you were present in the opening ceremony, the governor of Uttarakhand, Honorable Governor Saab, said, there is a sankalp that our Prime Minister has taken. Some of us today really feel proud that India is moving in a direction at a pace which is unprecedented. And I'm sure many of you would agree. So taking that cue, I will pick up, Bharatji, what you said just a few minutes back. We were actually chatting before coming into this. What is the real convergence? 25 years back, if you look at, I was part of a team which was installing the first mobile networks in India in 95, 96 time frame. At that time, we never thought that in the next 20, 25 years, you'll have 2 billion users of mobile in India. We never really thought. I used to carry a Siemens S3 phone. Trust me, if that phone falls on your feet, the feet will get swollen. It was so heavy. I still remember the first mobile call that we made in the country. Now, having said that, AI today is a turning point in the industry. And it's not about just India, globally. So the real convergence which happened between, I would say, mobile and internet at that time is now happening for AI and the rest of the world. Whether it is mobile networks, whether it is fixed networks, whether it is telecom. The first point I wanted to mention, Rahul, is that this technology is pervasive. It cuts across all verticals, and it is going to disrupt the way we think, the way we do business. So this is number one. The second very important point is that it is an opportunity for the generations, for people like us, for the coming generations to leverage this to learn and upskill. So we have to reduce our effort going on in repetitive tasks, process-oriented tasks. And as Mohan, you said, value. He used the word value, and I think this is where we can generate value in the products. So I'll give you 2-3 specific examples. I'm part of HCL Technologies, and we specifically focus on product development for various verticals across the globe. And we are basically looking at whether it is development, whether it is product testing, or whether it is support. In all these 3 areas, there are specific use cases which engineers can make use of using AI. For example, code generation looks very simple, but the real value is using the tools for complex things which humans cannot do. But the AI tools can do it very fast. The second example is intelligent testing. So the amount of test regression that we run to release product releases in the market in an agile way, it used to take, we used to make 2 product releases in a year, just few years back in telecom. You name it, whether it is a base station software or a switch software or a network management software or a cloud software. Today we make a product release every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks you have a software release which you can actually upgrade. Now, unless you have tools in the background to optimize the what to test, when to test, where to test, it is not going to happen. So that is on testing. The third very important aspect is customer experience. In support, many of you might be involved in product support, customer operations. When issues are reported by the customers, AI is actually helping us to triage the issues faster, troubleshoot it quickly, and then provide a better experience to the end customer consumer. So providing all this, I think it's good quality. Sorry, it was a long answer.
No, Anurag.
But these are the things which we are actually using in engineering to add value.
So Anurag, a follow-on question to you. You talked about how efficiencies can be built in-house, production be speeded up, the entire lease cycles can be expedited. Now, from that perspective, what is the kind of guidance you would be giving the upcoming developer community in India who aim and aspire to build Gen AI applications and also fine-tune the existing LLMs if that be possible?
Yeah, I think it's a very important aspect. I'm happy to see that we have some youngsters in the crowd here. I think I would say 2 things, Rahul. The number one is there are 3 levels of AI implementation: level 1, level 2, and level 3. Most of us are only aware of level 1. And level 1 is basic prompt engineering. You type a text chat and ChatGPT will give you an answer. Anybody can use it today. Even grandparents are using it. I've seen it in some countries. I think the level 1 is pervasive. It cuts across and it is very useful. But again, the real value comes in 2 and 3. The level 2 is where the developer community, I would really encourage the upcoming Gen Zs of India, especially people who can write code and do some basic scripting. Use your experience to start writing some basic software using those APIs, using those tools. And that has exponential value as compared to prompt engineering. There are several use cases and we use it in software all the time. And then the level 3 is basically where domain experts, subject matter experts, architects, they are actually pre-training and post-training the LLMs, the large language models, are getting fine-tuned for specific domains, verticals, like telecom is one large industry where this is being used. So these three levels is where we need to upskill. And the second thing I would say that is just a message to all the youngsters. I would personally like to see that every engineer coming out of the college should make an open source contribution before they start their job. And it is about to happen maybe in another few years, but that is the way our country should be going.
Very well put, Anurag. As I said, if all of us graduate from college, come up with this kind of thing, that's for a country like us, advancement is not far away. With this, I will move to, Manmeet once more. So Manmeet, we talked about the auto industry first, but being coming from where you are, you typically impact all sectors. What kind of, we didn't talk about challenges. We talked about how AI would be integrated. So if you can spend some more time on how AI integration would happen and what are the possible challenges globally that you see in the overall telco ecosystem and how that would be mitigated in your views.
So in telecommunications sector, if you see, generally when you bring a new technology, there are two things associated with that. What's the benefit it is bringing to the users, and what's my cost for the technology? And generally your decisions are like a very basic stuff is the cost should be justifiable and the benefits should be like overtaking that cost. Now with this AI, actually it's pretty different, Rahul. If you ask me, there are use cases which we are seeing which are reducing your cost and bringing more benefit to the users. So it's pretty massive, and we'll start with the simple stuff, which is the challenge was always to customer care. This was a challenge, and now with chatbots, and we are seeing everywhere this thing, and even for the telcos and all using those. But if you see the data, it's basically customer satisfaction has increased with the use of chatbots. 90% of your issues can be very well resolved by just interacting with chatbots. Now that's the benefit of, because it's bringing down your operational cost and it is increasing customer satisfaction. But there are very, very unique use cases now coming in telecom industry. One is what we call is as a resource allocation. It's a very technical use case, basically how you allocate your network resources dynamically based on the pattern of usage of multiple users. Okay, so that orients like how you orient your bandwidth resources, how do you orient your power, and this is a big, of course the quality will increase a lot, but it also brings a big benefit to telcos because it's an energy saving. Energy is a very, very cost, energy bills are very high for telcos, and now when you know the usage pattern of what is happening, you can reduce your power, you can save your costs. So this is very much happening in this industry. And with generative AI, now you see what the next level will be. Link your chatbots with the allocation of the resources together, which is very difficult to analyze by humans as such. So basically, if I'm reporting an issue and I'm reporting an issue, the algorithms can then see all my patterns of where I was, what kind of call drops, what I am facing, where I'm using, and then relate my complaints with that allocations and then reorient the network to provide me better service. Now that is going to happen, and that cannot be done by purely by human analysis and all. You definitely need large language models to do these things. So that is one of the big things happening. Of course, the maintenance of the network is getting mostly now, AI is it's again predictive maintenance, as we mentioned in telco, auto industry. It's same thing happening in the network side, where you can maintain the whole network based on your inputs coming from the the patterns analysis. But if we take it further and we bring it to very close to users, for example, see these days we talk about telco networks, we talk about 5G and all. But if you see, most of our usages are in home. Home broadband is becoming a huge thing in India, and even for telcos, that's really a good ARPU today if they provide a good home broadband. And now we are coming to the levels of what we call as service-defined Wi-Fis. So basically, it can orientate your beams in the house based on which room you're watching, OTT, basically a movie on Netflix, for example, to where if you're checking just email, because email does not need that resources. So your access points can orient your beams in that way that you get the best experience based on what you are doing, wherever you are in the home. So your experience will change based on what you do. So that level of intelligence is coming into all different kinds of different network areas. So that's what is already happening, and probably will improve multifold in next 1 to 2 years.
That significant level of personalization, even coming at home, and you talked about self-orienting antennas within the house itself. We talked about self-orienting antennas at a larger network level, but then, in the other part we talked about is energy efficiency. Getting to that level of energy efficiency is quite a big cost for operators nowadays as well. But before we come to any other aspect, so a question to Bharat. So Bharat, we talked about experiences, we talked about connected experiences, we talked about product development. So one of the aspects ultimately is we hear everything which gets into slightly big league gets ultimately regulated. So from your perspective, how do you think with AI driven advancements, and how do you see them aligning on the regulatory side of things? Because we did hear some aspects some months back also with the ministers talking about some bit of a regulation there. And how do you handle, because a lot of that regulation is around ultimately customer data, and with AI being there, who's responsible ultimately? And there could be other things also where some bit of regulation is needed, but then what is your take on it? How is it going to be an enabler, or how are things going to be aligned with it?
Yeah, I think this is a very good issue. All of us are going to face, if not facing today, so every one of us is going to face the issue of how are we going to work with the AI. Already challenges are being seen. You have seen quite a few issues in terms of usage, such as your duplicates being drawn and being used for hacking your bank accounts, or cheating your families, etc. So if I look at it on a global basis, the AI regulation follows two kinds of paths. Many countries are still thinking and are still working as to how can we exploit the power of AI to make it a tool of development, a tool of growth, a tool of industrial development, a tool of economic development. And the other set of countries which are saying, wait a minute, how do we regulate it? What kind of regulations are needed to make sure that the negative usages of this pervasive technology are not put into too much practice? So if you look at European Union, for example, EU, they were the first group of countries to come up with a regulation to regulate the AI. So EU passed a law last year saying you can do this, 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 and you can't do this, this, this. And a very detailed law, and it's a very forward-looking regulation, but at the same time providing a way to check the misuse of this technology. But other countries, if I were to look at US, for example, or China, for example, they are looking at it as how can we draw from the power of this? So far, they have not really looked at regulating this in that sense, the way Europeans have done. So their focus mainly is in terms of how do we make America as the best use of AI technology, or China, how we can leverage the AI technology to increase our global presence, or increase our production, or increase our role in the world powers. India has just now brought a new telecom law. This is a country where we have lived with our existing telecom law called Indian Telegraph Act 1885 for such a long time that people started thinking that that act will continue to outlive our lives for many more years. But great, this government took the leap, decided to come up with a new law, and the new law provides not only the regulations that is needed, not specifically for AI, but a lot about the technology that goes into it, but at the same time did a lot of promotional work for AI. So the focus, as I understand from the statement that was made by our telecom minister last month, that they want to use AI as a promotion, as to make country as a globally number one country, a globally developed country by 50 or something. So I think focus in India is going to be clearly how do we leverage the power of AI. Focus is going to be how do we leverage the combination of the mobile technology, the internet and the AI together. The regulation will definitely be need of the day. This country is known for some of the scams, and AI will empower those as well. Even if I'm speaking lightly, but I think this is not far away from truth. So AI-powered scam is something we need to be beware of and make sure that we prevent them, and came up with regulations to make sure that all the good guys use it and keep it away from the bad guys.
Thank you both for perspective. And before we end, I had a question with Mohan. So Mohan, we talked about how does AI enable, and now also we talked about how regulations would kind of be needed to keep things in check. And now you're at the forefront of customer-driven innovation. You have a lot of customer data. With customer data, privacy all being put together. Now, how would you kind of, under the regulatory framework, if there is one, or under self-regulation also, how would you kind of enhance the customer experiences or connected experience that customers have in the end? And a lot of things that you talk about was also on IoT things, and how can IoT also be an enabler to that entire connected experience?
Sure, Rahul. So I think we have spoken a lot about AI, technology, regulations, pros, cons, and everything. So what I'd like is, let's keep the technical parts aside, right? But yeah, how does AI influence our daily life? So I think some examples and use cases were touched upon by Manmeet and fellow panelists. But let's take a simple use case, right? We spoke about mobility, right? And all of us sitting here like to drive cars. We like to drive in our cars from Delhi to Agra, Delhi to Jaipur, right? And during the journey, we all like to stop by to have our samosa or chai, isn't it? That's something each one of us do. Say like I like to pick up a McDonald's burger, right, along the way and have it. Now, how does this AI thing enable or change this experience? Now, of course, as a McDonald's customer love certain kind of burgers, and McDonald's keeps sending me coupons which are stashed in my phone right here. But when I actually go to the McDonald's, I don't use the coupon, right? But just imagine this, because of the power of AI, your car actually is powered by AI technology, and so is McDonald's IT capability. When your car is 500 meters away, it informs the McDonald's that your customer who loves this burger is around. Would you like to send a coupon? And the McDonald's actually sends a coupon to your car right on time. Don't we all think that's far more effective than coupons being sent to emails or SMS? Yeah, some of you agree? So this is a simple example, right, of how experiences will change, and this involves processing magnitude of data from multiple ecosystems. In this example, the car data combined with McDonald's data. Similarly, your mobile phone data combined with your home data, or say in case of agriculture, your agri data. If it is not raining, what is it that we need to do? We spoke about predictive, right? So all this will change to a next level or evolve to a next level of customer experience. Now, we as Jio, we are empowering the ecosystem in India. We believe everything to be made in India. And I think somebody touched, Manmeet mentioned voice recognition. So we can talk to our cars. We are powering Indian made voice recognition systems. It's called as Hello Jio. Very recently, we launched a car with MG Comet, which is India's first English-powered car. Touch is passe. You can just talk to your phone. If you have seen the recent Jio Bharat phone, which is sub 2000 phone, you can actually talk to it beautifully. And I'm sure some of you sitting in this room are already Jio set-top box customers. And today you can change channels by speaking to the remote. No longer you need to touch the remote and do like this, right? You can just say star plus and the TV changes. Now these are simple products being built in India, and we interestingly so effectively built that we are finding adoption of these products in other countries, so India and beyond. Now, another example, like your set-top box is voice enabled, your car is voice enabled. You can actually, while watching your favorite movie, say whatever your car is, hello or whatever, Tata or Mahindra or XUV, please start the charging in the basement while you're watching your movie. And the car actually gets, the charging of the car in your basement gets switched on. Just imagine the play. You're watching your movie, no longer you're opening an app, owning the charging point in your basement. So isn't this a differential experience? I hope I'm able to bring a sense of what's the change in terms of experience that customers can look forward to, powered by AI, right? But I think with interest of time, I'll pause here. Rahul, over to you.
I think thanks for that views, and I think we are up dot on time. We have maintained our punctuality today. So I think we covered everything today, and thank you to my fellow panelists, and right from products, engineering, connected experiences, telematics, auto, the regulations, and also India's journey from 3G to 4G to 5G. I think we covered all of it, beautifully summed up by you today. And I think with this, we'd like to end the session today. Thanks a lot to my fellow panelists and my audience. Thank you very much.